Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be doing our season preview over the Washington Capitals. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the channel. That being said, let's get on into it. So Washington is really similar to a team I just did the other day in the Pittsburgh Penguins, where they are two sides that are older, that have had a legacy of making the playoffs and hopefully getting on some deep runs. Pittsburgh obviously had a lot more postseason success than the Capitals, but ultimately two teams with really key players that are not just important to their teams, but the league's history, and of course have both had some championships. And they failed to make the playoffs this year, with Washington being eliminated a little bit faster than Pittsburgh. So what are some storylines to talk about for the Capitals going into this year? So the first one, I gotta be honest, is just my obsession with the record. And if you are a subscriber to my channel for a while, or just somebody that keeps up with the NHL, you probably know that Alex Ovechkin, the Great 8, is catching up on 99, the Great 1, Wayne Gretzky, for the all-time goal record. Wayne holds the all-time record with 902 goals, and of course Alex is 72 away from tying him, and this could be one of those things where we're looking at hockey history being made. I don't know if this still holds true anymore, but I think at the time of Wayne Gretzky retiring, he had 63 all-time records in the NHL, and only one of those has been broken. This is probably one of the most important records that could be broken in that time. And looking at Ovechkin, this year is going to be crucial to deciding if that record's broken or not. Ovi obviously had a 30-goal season a couple years ago, and I think a lot of people are starting to worry about what if he faded and if this was the end of the pursuit of the all-time record. And I think the good news is obviously he's been on fire. He's either had 40 goals or been on pace for 40 goals had he played a full season in the past 6 seasons, and he's coming off of a 42-goal campaign. So my logic here is to think about where he sits. So 73 goals away from the all-time record, sole possession of it. If he had a 40-goal season this year, then he really would be in a good spot where he would have 33 goals to get over the following 2 years of his contract. So this year is really pivotal in making sure that he's able to get to where he can wrap it up. It's not a guarantee, but you would imagine 33 goals over the following 2 seasons after this kind of seems like it would be able to be a done deal. May very well be next season that we talk about Ovi winning the record, and I think this is going to be incredible because, you know, as a guy that watched him when I was young and growing up into where I'm at now, where I'm not too far away from being 24 years old, it's really something momentous to see all this time from when I was a kid to now, a guy that's been able to score with the best of them. Is he going to break the record this year? No. Obviously, he's scored 65 goals in a season for his career high. That was a very long time ago. I would say probably expect anywhere from 35 to 50 goals this year. 50 seems pretty high for a guy that's played so many games, but at the same time, he's averaged the most time on ice for a forward for Washington last season, and then the most time on ice for any player at all, I think, for Washington on the power play. A guy that's been able to get there and get it done, have an incredible shot, to be able to just sit there in the office and take the shot that you know everybody knows you're going to take, but to still score is incredible. Will this be something that is the mainstay of the team and the talking point for the club? Probably, because again, you're talking about him breaking Gretzky's record, and I think in general, I just really excited to see if he can get another rocket as well. The second thing is there friction between the front office and the players? Now, this really is centered again more with Evgeny Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov is a guy that not too long ago was his mid-20s and is a player that won a Stanley Cup and was fresh off of an 83-point season. And now he's in his early 30s. I believe he's 31 years old and is off of a 55-point season that management said that they weren't too thrilled about. So this is one of those situations where he's demanded a trade and said, hey, I really don't feel like I want to be here anymore. I want out. Alex Ovechkin has said, hey, we would really prefer to keep him, but it seems like management, with the 2 years he has remaining on his deal, would prefer to ship him out for a little bit of assets, whether that be players or picks, I don't know. And the teams that would be interested, I'm not really sure right now. I think that Bleacher Report did an article not too long ago. They had teams like Arizona, they had teams like Nashville. And I think that would be kind of an interesting take, but I do think it's kind of interesting for a variety of reasons. And you could say maybe if they win, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Maybe if he has a career year, at least gets off to a good start, they wouldn't need to do a trade, because they could say, oh, well, we are either in the playoff, positioning right now, or we're in the hunt for the playoffs. I kind of look at it as this, though. looking at it from an outsider's perspective, I would say that if I was a player that was looking to sign there, a younger guy looking to sign an extension, an older guy especially looking to sign an extension with the club, if I saw a guy that had done a lot for the club, had won a Stanley Cup and played pivotal moments for the team, and he was going to be treated in a bad way, I don't really know how things are going behind the scenes, that would really speak volumes to me to say, hey, I could be in his spot one day. It could be me in that chair in the front office where they say, we're not happy with how things are going. It's time for you to leave. I don't know if that's actually what's going on, but if things get really messy, it's one of those situations where it's not just this guy's out of here, the problem's being shipped off. It's the other guys in the locker room saying, that could be us. And I do think that that's going to be really interesting to see if that kind of develops into more problems, because if Ovi wants him there and Kuznetsov gets traded, you're literally making your all-time great player very unhappy or potentially unhappy. So it kind of just remains to be seen. Hockey is a business. It is a sport. Tough decisions have to be made. We'll see what happens. But again, winning kind of cures all. So maybe Kuznetsov doesn't get traded. And the final talking point is, I think Rasmus Sandin's about to have a career year. Now, Sandin was a first-round pick by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Never was able to secure the minutes he was probably hoping for last year. He did get, a decent amount of playing time. But in general, the Washington Capitals seem to be very intrigued in getting him, and he ended up getting brought over. He's 23 years old, a young defenseman that has got the opportunity to grow, and I think that's kind of interesting for Washington. That's got a lot of older guys that are expected to kind of move the needle towards winning. To have a young player that could eat up minutes for you, that has the potential to grow, would really be a great thing for this organization, as they are really old in a lot of ways. And I think for Sandin, the big thing that sticks out to me, he had 15 points in 19 games played. Is he going to average that again this year? Probably not, but there were some good signs. Minutes, he ended up getting a lot more minutes with the Capitals. Went from 18 minutes a night to about 23 minutes a night with Washington. So he saw a 5-minute increase on average per night. So theoretically, you go out there, you get more minutes, which means more opportunities. And he also played the most minutes on average out of the team, except for John Carlson. So basically, nobody was playing more minutes on average, out there than him, except for, of course, Carlson. And that's good to have a young defenseman that could heat up 23 minutes a night. Absolutely fantastic. And also a guy that is coming off of where he almost averaged a point per game. Really good there. He played a lot of minutes with Ovi, and while the numbers were kind of atrocious defensively, it was such a small amount of games, not even 20 games, that I want to look at it and say there was a couple of games where they got lit up by the Blues and the Sabres. Maybe that was it. I'd have to go back and look at the game log. So if things go there and you play a lot of minutes with Ovi, who is a guy that has no problem shooting the puck a lot and knows that he is getting closer to the record, that could be really good for Sandin to pick up a lot of assists. And I'm looking at this saying that this could be really good, because people that I trust, people that I kind of get my information about, or at least will get some of their thoughts, have said that they really expect Sandin to be a good player in the NHL, and he just kind of needs a team that will give him some opportunities. Washington appears to be that team. That being said, he was on pace for 65 points with the Capitals had he played a full 82 games. Do I see him having a 65-point season? I do not, but I do think he could set some career highs this year and play a big role for them, be a top-pairing defenseman maybe. We will see, and that is something that I'm going to be anxiously watching out for. So overall, what are my thoughts on the Capitals going into this season after they just missed the playoffs? Do I see them being a playoff team? I'm going to be honest, I do not. I think part of my logic here is that they just keep getting a little bit older, and there are some other teams that got significantly better this offseason where Washington didn't necessarily. Looking at them, I think that there's some aspects to like. I really like the fact that they've got some cheap forwards that could do really good things for them. Sonny Milano, as a Blue Jackets fan, is somebody that I really feel like has had to fight tooth and nail to get every opportunity once he left Columbus. And now Washington rewarded him with a 3-year extension, I think, this offseason. So to have a young guy that could play, bottom 6 minutes for you and be cheap and be good is always a great thing. Is he going to turn into a top-line player? Probably not. I'm willing to accept that. But at the same time, to have young, cheap forwards helping you out is never a bad thing. Darcy Kemper, is he going to be as good of his Colorado days? Probably not. In general, though, I don't think this team will be terrible. I just think that they're going to be a team that falls behind the pack a little bit. Will they fall like 20 points back by the end of the season? Probably not. Again, just one of those situations where I think that their time has run out, as they are not that team winning President's trophies anymore. And for me, I really am focused more so on the Ovechkin record pursuit. And I got to be honest, even if this team was the worst team in the league, I would just really want to see them have a really good top line that they could pair with Ovi and have a dominant power play so he could try to go out there and pass Gretzky, because really that's all that matters for me with this club. But anyway, what are your thoughts for Washington going into this season? Leave them down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go love hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.